Looking at my cheat sheet, it says this piece of foam needs to be 12 inches wide. So now I'm going to measure that off and cut it. And now I have marked that piece inside, front, and back, so I know what piece it goes with. And check that off on your cheat sheet. And now mark that off of your cheat sheet. You should now have 2 stacks of both the inside and the outside pieces, as well as the foam. They're in 2 separate stacks, ready to get ready for assembly. This is the front pocket piece. This piece is going to be embroidered with the Singer logo. So I have marked the center of the pocket, and I've marked down 2.5 inches. That's where the center of the embroidery is going to be placed. This is the placement for my embroidery. If there is no embroidery, you can go on to the next step. Okay, now while my embroidery stitch is out, I'm going to get these front pieces ready for assembly. Put the foam pieces to the side for now, and we're going to work with the front and back for the outside. A lot of fabrics you might be using will be directional, and what you would have to do is take the bottom of one, flip it over, and match it with the bottom of the other piece. And now you would have matching pieces, and we're going to sew those together. I have sewn the back and the front side together with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. So the front and back, right sides together, sew a 3/8 seam allowance. Press that seam open and bring it back to the board. Now with that seam pressed open, I'm going to take the 37.5 inch piece of foam marked front and back, and I'm going to match it up, and I'm going to fuse it to that piece. Okay, now I have put the front of the bag onto the foam, and I'm going to trim it. I always assume that the fabric is cut the correct length, and then I adjust the foam to match that. If you don't have these little clippies, I highly recommend them. My foam is just a little bit off, so I'm going to trim that to match the fabric. Because the fabric is always right. The foam gives a little bit, so you can trim it a little bit and it's okay. Then take that piece and fuse it together really good. Sometimes I use my Cricut press because it gets so much hotter and it does a better job fusing. Okay, now the outside fabric, front and back, has been fused to the long piece of foam that corresponds, and I'm going to do something a little bit different, which really makes a nicer bag, and it makes it so easy to match everything up. I'm going to serge all 4 edges of this piece. Okay, the front piece has been serged on all 4 sides. Now we're going to prepare the front pockets, front and back, that get attached to the front of the bag. Okay, the front pockets, all of these pieces are going to be finished off with the serger, and for good reason. With the serger, if you do this method, all your seams are going to match, and it's going to be much easier to put the bag together. And I do not do rounded corners. I tried that on several bags. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way the machine fit in it. So I don't do rounded corners. I do the square corners, and it's much easier to make the bag that way. So I'm going to get the first pocket, front pocket, ready while the other pocket finishes embroidery. Okay, let's finish the front pocket pieces. This is one of the pockets that's going to go on the outside, front and back, and the lining piece is going to be attached to that piece, and what it's going to do is double as a piece of binding for contrast at the top of the piece. So let's do that. First thing we're going to do is sew a seam across the top, and you can see that this fabric is the lining, or the binding piece, and the lining piece is about 2 inches shorter than the front piece. So let's do a 3/8 inch seam at the top. Okay, here is our 3/8 inch seam allowance, and now we're going to take it to the iron and press it and make that piece of binding, that contrasting piping at the top. Okay, now that piece has been pressed, so what we're going to do is flip it over and pull the lining / binding to the top, so that we're now looking at the front, and we're just going to fold it over so that it matches that 3/8 inch seam, and that's going to be your contrast binding. And now I'm going to take it to the serger, and I'm going to serge the 3 edges. Okay, I've serged the 3 edges. One of the reasons, well, there's a couple reasons that I like to serge. I like the clean finished edge. I don't like threads. And what this also does is give you a really good guide for putting all of these layers of pieces together later on. So now we're going to finish the second pocket. Okay, once these 2 pockets are finished, you're going to come to the back, and you're going to reach in here, and you're going to stuff that foam up into the pocket. Go up as far as you can go, and this is the double-sided foam. I like the double-sided. It makes a good look on the front. So I'm going to fuse that on and do that to both pieces, both the front pocket and the back pocket. Okay, my second pocket, which happens to be the front pocket, just finished and came off the machine. So we're going to put that together the same way we did the first pocket. Okay, I have finished the second pocket, serged the edges, and fused the foam to the inside. Now we're going to put the 2 pockets together. Right sides together. Match the bottoms. I'm going to clip it. Now I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and put a seam straight across at the 3/8 inch mark. Okay. I did the seam across the middle. Now I'm going to open it up, take it over to the iron, and hopefully without the iron hitting this adhesive, I'm going to iron that flat. Okay, I've ironed that flat, so now what I'm going to do is place that and line it up with the bigger outside piece, and I'm going to match the seams with the seams And the outside pockets will be about 1/4 of an inch bigger than the front piece. And that's so that the straps will lay flat. So I'm going to match that and clip it. Now, before you clip the other half together, what we're going to do is make a mark all the way down at the 4-inch mark. Take a piece of chalk and mark it all the way down, and do that on both sides. That's going to be a stitch line. Now you can clip the other side, and you're going to have a little bit of bulk there, but we're going to put a pin in the middle to make that lay down. Okay. What you're going to notice here, that if you've got the placement correctly, you should see that each piece of binding ends at about 6.5 inches on each end. So now I'm going to put a pin right in the middle to hold that down while I stitch it in place. I'm going to do that at both ends, and then I'm going to stitch right along those stitch lines. At this point, you should be able to see that what that serging is doing for you is giving you a perfect line for all of these layers. So it's going to be really easy to line all of this up as long as your serge matches. Now I'm going to take this to my machine, and I'm going to stitch right on those stitch lines. Okay, I have stitched over those seam lines, and a little bit of information. I use a Singer 301 with a jeans needle or a 14 needle, and it makes it pretty easy. And if you have trouble because of the foam, you just push down on your finger as you go, and it'll be great. But always start from the middle and go up. So you're going to have to turn it 4 times in order to do that, but it's very important. If you don't, it's not going to be even. So what we're going to do now is make a little tent. We're going to take all the clips off, and we're going to make a tent so that we can put the straps on. The straps go next. Well, no, actually, let's do something else first before we do that. There's something real important here we have to do. What I like to do is put a crease on the bottom so that the bag sits straight. And in order to do that, I've got on my cheat sheet over here, the bottom outside crease. Mark 4.25 inches, 4.25 inches from each side of the center seam. So 4.25, right there's 4. It's hard to see on the black. 4.25 is right there. 4.25. So we're going to make a seam there, and over here the same thing. We're going to go 4.25 from that seam line, but we're not going to do anything yet. Next, we're going to put the straps on. Okay, so you've already made your mark for the bottom crease. Now we're going to put the straps on. And on my cheat sheet, it says that the handles, I need 2 6-inch pieces of 1-inch web strapping. And if you're not using strapping, if you're doing it out of the same fabric, just follow the instructions, and it's just as pretty and sometimes prettier and just as sturdy. So next I'm going to get the handle ready. Okay, I have measured and cut 60 inches of strapping. Now I'm going to burn each end so that it doesn't ravel. So you just need to leave that on there for a minute, let it melt, and you won't have any problem with it raveling. If you don't do this, it will start raveling. Okay, now we're going to put the straps on. We're going to pin them so we can go over to the machine and attach them. So I start out by putting that burnt edge that we just did, and you push it up as close as you can get to that pocket, and you pin it. I use big pins, and you're going to loop it over and do the same thing. Make sure that the straps the right side out all the way around, and the same thing, you're going to match it to that bottom seam of the front here. I'm going to push it right up against there, make sure it's good and tight, and pin it. Now I'm going to go over to the machine, and I'm going to start at the bottom, at the middle of each end, and come up. That means I'm going to have to turn it to do that each time. I'm going to come all the way up here, and right about here at that binding, right before I get to the top of it, I'm going to do some double, even triple stitches right there, and then come back up along this edge. Each time I start at the middle and come up and go straight across. So let's do that. Okay, the first handle is attached. I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to attach the second handle the same way. And again, if you have trouble sewing through all these layers, all you have to do is press down and it will squish them, and you can go right through there. Okay, the second handle is all pinned, ready to take to the machine, and you may have a little bit of trouble getting this under the throat of your machine, but it is very flexible and it's very easy to work with. You're not going to hurt it. One thing I like to do is clip threads as I go, so that way I don't have a problem later with threads getting stuck and causing a bird nest or other problems in the machine. So just go ahead and clip those and get it out of the way. Okay, take the straps, the handles, and push them into that pocket on both sides. It's going to get them out of the way while we do the remaining of the bag. And now what we're going to do is come back and line these up again, line the serge seams up again, and we're going to pin them all the way to the top on both sides. Okay, that's done. So what I'm going to do now, before I go any further, I'm going to come back and I'm going to sew across this seam. That's going to be the bottom of the bag, so that that crease is going to make the bag stand up nice and straight. Okay, I have stitched the bottom part that's going to make that nice crease in the bottom. So what I'm going to do now is sew right on the edge of the serge. That's going to be our guide. That's why I like the serging. We now have a guide where we're going to attach these, and we're going through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers. And if you've got a 301, it's not a problem at all. I don't know if I would try it on my designer one, but this does a great job. Okay, I've started the side seams. I start right in the middle. Again, I always start in the middle and go to the top. And if you can see my foot is right on the edge of that outside serge line, and it's going to go together great. Okay, we're almost finished with the front. You can sort of preview it at this point. you can see that the pockets are going to match, and you can see that the bottom's going to sit like that, and that's going to be your bag. So all we have to do next is get the sides ready for assembly. Okay, the next step is to get the sides ready. And what we have to do first is outside ends. We're going to put the pieces together, and we're going to fuse them. The right side to the adhesive side. I always use double-sided adhesive foam. So now those are ready to fuse together. Okay, so I have fused both of these pieces together. So now I want to take it over and serge all 4 edges. Okay, all the edges have been serged, and what we're going to do now is add the outside end pocket. It's a smaller pocket, and one word about serging. I have 2 sergers. One I keep set up with white, and one I keep set up with black. Highly recommend using a contrasting color when you're serging, so that you can see it through all layers, so that you know when you're putting it together. If you follow that edge, you know that you haven't missed any seams. So now let's get the pocket done. Okay, these are the outside end pocket pieces. I'm gonna put the right sides together. This is the top and this is the bottom, and on this piece the lining is about 1 inch longer than the pocket, whereas the pockets on the front and the back that we did earlier, it was a little bit shorter. This is going to fold up and make the binding at the top, so let's do that. I'm just going to take a seam right across the top. So now that seam allowance is done. So what we're going to do is fold this, and we're going to iron this down, and then we're going to fold it up Let's go to the iron. With that piece folded up, we're going to take the bottom of the lining and we're going to bring it down to the end of the pocket. And then with the bulk at the top, we're going to fold it right down. It's about maybe half of an inch. We're going to fold it down and we're going to clip it together, and we're going to stitch that from the top to the bottom. Okay, I've stitched from the top to the bottom, so I'm going to take the clips off, give it a good press, then I'm going to take it and I'm going to turn it and push those little corner ears out, little dog ears, just like that. Pull it out. See, now your pocket lining, you've got your pocket lining, and you've got your binding, little piping at the top. Push those ears out, push that one out, and then give it a good clean press. Now we're going to take the foam and we're going to insert it into that pocket, and we're going to go all the way to the top as far as we can go, and we're going to fuse it. All the way to the top. Looks pretty pretty good, looks pretty good. So let's use it. Pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to go to the serger and I'm going to serge right across that open bottom. Okay, I have marked each piece. I've marked the 2 pockets at the center point, which should be 3 inches. I've marked the side panels in the middle. They're 10 inches, so the middle would be 5. And I drew a line up from that at 1 3/4 inches. So what we're going to do is place the pocket mark right to that line and sort of eyeball it to make sure that it looks reasonably centered. These look pretty good. So I'm going to take it over to the machine and I'm going to stitch right across from one end to the other. Okay. This seam has been done, so now all you have to do is flip the pocket up. Make sure it's nice and straight, looks level on all sides, and we're going to pin it. Pin them all together. So now you've got, again, about 6 layers there that you're going to work with, and it's no big deal because this stuff is so pliable. We'll do both of them, and then we're going to stitch from the bottom to the top. And take the pins out when you get to them. Okay, let's do that. Okay, both pockets are now in place and the sides are ready to add. Let's clip that thread. They're ready to add to the main part of the bag. To get ready to do that, here's a very important step. I told you before I don't like the rounded bottom. I like square. So what you have to do to prepare for that is take some really sharp scissors and you're going to make a triangular cut about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch. Just like that. And this is going to allow you to turn the bag. And you only have to do it on the end pieces. You don't have to do it to the bag itself. So just about 1/2 inch. So now those pieces are ready. Okay, in this step we're going to attach the sides to the bag. Now to do that, we've already matched the middle of the side. So what we're going to do is match that right there to that middle seam. Line it up, make sure it's straight, and we're going to pin it. This looks harder than it really is. It's just awkward because of all the bulk and the way you have to turn it. So now I'm going to take a seam from here, right there where I clipped it. I'm going to take a seam from right there over to this side where I clipped it on this side. So let's do that. Okay, I've done the bottom seam. So now what you do is you bring these up. And at the bottom, see that dog ear? We're going to start up here because we want to make sure that it's nice and even. So clip it. I clip it about every 3 fingers. And there's some bulk right there. All you have to do is press down on it and just keep going. Just keep going. And where these dog ears are, you want them to cross each other. So the left one is crossing on top of the right one. And there's going to be some bulk in there, but it's not gonna hurt anything. So now we're going to go take a seam from the top to the bottom. Okay, that's done, and you'll see that these dog ears just laid flat in there and the machine went right over it. So now we're going to bring, let me back up a little bit. We're going to bring the second side over, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to clip it in place every 3 fingers. Get that bulk in there. Now we're going to crisscross the dog ears down here where we cut it. Now there's bulk, but that's okay. It's not going to hurt a thing. So now we've got 6, 7, 8, 9 layers in there right now, but it's good. So there's what it looks like now. I find that it's easier to do one side at a time, starting with the bottom, so that you know that it's centered. So let's do this seam. Okay, here's what we have so far. We have one side put together. So now let's do the other side. Again, find the mark, line the mark up with that middle seam in the bottom, and just start clipping. We're going to sew the bottom first, so clip it. I find that about 4 or 5 clips are plenty. So there's the bottom. Let's sew it again from the corner here to the corner here. Sorry if that's fuzzy. It's on my iPad. Okay, so let's sew it. Okay, now you see that the bottom seam is done. All you have to do now is bring that top seam up, match it at the top, and follow it on down every 3 fingers or so. And there's your bulk. Get these dog ears overlapping each other. Sometimes they like to be persnickety, but it's okay. They're not that difficult. Okay, now I'm going to come up and I'm going to sew from the top down to that bottom. Okay, time to do the final side piece. Every 3 fingers I clip it. I don't know if this would be, I imagine this would be harder with pins. Come down here to those dog ears and lap one over the other and clip it. And now I'm just going to go and do that seam. Now all 4 seams are done. Now there's something very important to do before you turn this bag inside out. You need to go and clip the bulk down to probably 1.5 to 2 inches. This is very important because this is for the zipper and the metal frame. So I've trimmed that down to about 1.5 to 2 inches. I'm going to do it on all 4 sides. I've had some good scissors. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. It's time to turn the bag, the outside bag, inside out. There's a couple of things we need to do. So just grab it from the bottom, bring the bottom up and out. You have to manhandle it. push the bottom down good. Push those corners out good. Okay. Now you can set it up straight and you can sort of see what you've got so far. So there's our bag so far. What we have to do next is make some marks on it in preparation for the zipper. So what we do is this. Put the bag down on a measuring, or you could use a ruler. But what we want to do, the front and the back are 12 inches. So you want to put a mark at 6 inches, a long mark. There's my long mark at 6 inches. Do the same thing on the other side. 6 inches. So there it is. Then flip the bag over and our sides are 10 inches. So we want to put a mark at 5 inches. And then we want to put 2 smaller marks at 1 inch from each end, like that. And do that on both sides. So 10 inches is the measurement, 5 inches is the big mark, and 1 inch on each side of that. That's going to be our markings for the zipper. And we're finished right now with the outside. Okay, we have to get the zipper ready, and to do that we need a 26-inch zipper. If you have I like making my own, but if you have one that's pre-made, just 26 inches, just cut the ends off of each one. And what we do is just put any kind of mark on the upside. You can see that. Any kind of mark. I just like to put 2 tick marks. All that does is tell me that that's the right side. And then make a mark at the 13-inch point, because that is the middle of your 26-inch zipper. So now I'm going to take my zipper and I'm going to pull it apart. Okay. Scary the first time. I wasn't sure it was going to get back together, but it did. So now I'm going to, okay, it's time to install the zipper. So take your zipper, the right side of the zipper out, and the right side is going to go to the right side of the bag. But you have to look for that red mark that we made, that long mark. And I like to put a pin right there to tell me where that is. And then we're going to clip it every 2 or 3 inches. Then when you get over here to the other mark, the smaller mark that's on the to the right of the middle, I'm going to put another pin. Then I'm going to bring the tail down and I'm going to pin that at like a 45-degree angle. So that's what that's going to look like. So go around here and do the same thing, going in the opposite direction. And again, there's our mark. So right there, I'm going to take a pin. I'm going to pin it. Then I'm going to take that tail and I'm going to bring that down at a 45-degree angle. Now I'm going to take the other piece of the zipper, the right side, going to match it up, and I'm going to put a pin there. I'm going to go over every 2 or 3 inches. And at that little tick mark, I'm going to put a pin, and I'm going to bring that tail down, take this pin out, and then pin them both together. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other end. Every 2 or 3 inches. Every 2 or 3 inches. Look for that tick mark. Put a pin. Put this down 45 degrees. Take the pin out and pin both of them together. Now all I have to do is go stitch around the entire perimeter of that zipper, and when we get to here, I'm just going to smooth that down as much as I can and just keep going straight across until I catch the zipper on the other end. Okay, here it is, all stitched down all the way around. Leave the pins in the side. You can take out all the other pins and all the other clips, but on the sides, leave those because they're very important. Okay, here's the seam. And what I'm going to do now is open that up and iron it good so it lays nice and flat. Now we're going to attach that piece to the matching piece of foam. I like to use flannel whenever I can for the inside to make them nice and soft for the machine. So now I'm going to fuse those together. Okay, those pieces are now fused together, so I'm going to take it to the serger and I'm going to serge all 4 sides just like I did with the front piece. Okay, with that fused together, we're now going to slice it in the middle. Start about 1/4 from one seam and go all the way across that seam. Split it open till about 1 inch before you get to the other side. So now that is open. Grab the 2 end pieces and we're going to put these together just like we did the outside ends. Just lay them right over there. We're going to fuse these together and then serge all 4 seams, all 4 sides, just like we did the other pieces. Line them up and fuse them together and then serge them. Okay, the 2 side pieces are put together and serged, and now we're going to make the marks just like we did. We're going to cut diagonally into them about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, something like that. This makes it easy to turn it when you're putting it together. All right, I have cut my diagonals at each corner and I have marked the centers. So now let's attach that to the main piece. We're going to match up the center to the center and then we're going to pin it, probably 4 or 5 clips straight across. Okay, it's all pinned and I have sort of lined it up with a grid so that I can tell that it really is on there straight. But if you use this serging technique and you follow that as a guide, it's going to be perfect. Here again it shows that my seam line is right at the edge of that serged strip. Okay, that bottom piece is now stitched in place, and I have stopped right at each corner of that digital slice. Now, just the same way we did with the outside front and back, we're going to clip this starting at the top and go all the way down and clip it about every 3 fingers, 2 or 3 fingers. And I'm going to overlap those dog ears, those diagonal dog ears that we put in there. And that's going to make a nice crisp corner. Now we're going to do the same thing with the other side. Every 2 or 3 fingers, clip it, take those dog ears and overlap them at the corner, and see how that's going to stand up nice and straight. Here's what you should have so far. We're getting ready to put on the second side, and then we'll be ready to assemble the bag. Just like we did on the first piece, we're going to trim each side seam about 1.5 to 2 inches. This is going to let you insert that zipper really well, and it's going to make less bulk for the metal frame. Okay, it's time to turn things inside out and see what happens. We're going to turn this inside out because we're going to put right sides together. So there's this one. Now we're going to grab the outside bag, and we're going to turn that also inside out. Okay, work carefully with this one because we've got these pins. So we're going to make sure that the handles are out of the way as much as we can. We're going to grab the inside of the bag and pull it and pull it. And it's okay. It is not fragile. So there. We've got, there's what we've got so far. So we've got the 2 bag pieces. Now we're going to insert one inside the other. Again, right sides are together. I grab it and make it look like a little, I don't know, a little lunch box, I guess. Put it inside. Just stuff it down in there. Put them together. And you have to reach through the bottom and pull that inside bag down good. And then we're going to match up. We're going to match up the sides, and this is the way I do that. I start at the corners. I clip the corners together, and at the same time pulling it at the bottom to keep it all even. Put another clip. This is hard to do with one hand, so I hope the camera picks it up. Okay, we've clipped all 4 edges, so now what we're going to do is go back and put pins, or pins. I use clips. But I use clips, and you can stretch this. That foam rubber stretches. Stretch it and clip it. stretch it and clip it. Now do the other side. That looks pretty good. Clip it. You can't have too many clips. Clip it and make sure that that zipper is laying flat. You don't want it to catch it when you're sewing it together. Okay, so I've got the two side pieces clipped. So now we're going to clip on the front and the back sides. Just clip it or pin it, clip it, clip it, clip it. Gonna clip it, clip it, clip it, and make sure you don't catch your handles in this, because I have done that a couple of times. So now what we're going to do is take to the sewing machine and we're going to sew right over that seam that we put in there with the zipper, the first time we put the zipper in. So we're going to go right over that seam line to attach the two bags together. One more tip here. What I like to do is take a magic marker and make about a 1 inch. I'm going to leave about 1 inch open. We're not going to sew across that. We're going to let that stay open for our metal frames. So I'm going to start stitching here and stitch all the way around and stop here. The zipper, the tube, the inside and outside have now been attached. So you're going to bring the inside, grab inside, and pull it out. What you've got now is something that looks like this. Doesn't look like too much right now, does it? Okay. So what we do is reach inside the hole that we made and grab, first before you grab anything, take the pins out so you don't get stuck. The pins that are in the side holding those zippers ends, take them out, and then reach inside and grab way down to one corner, then grab the other corner and start pulling it through. And it is not easy. This is probably the hardest part. You just have to keep pulling. I pull and twist and pull and twist and pull and twist. Okay, we're getting there. If you have arthritis in your hands like I do, you may want to get someone to help you do this. So we're pulling the two sides apart, just like that. And it doesn't look like much right now, but we're getting there. So now we've got the whole thing turned inside out. So now we have to put the inside bag back toward the inside. Just grab it and stuff it back in and pull it down and pull it down and pull it down. Just keep pulling. And we want to get it down the best we can and be sure that your outside bag is turned all the way. Okay, now keep turning. Just keep turning and smoothing it. And then, once it's in there pretty good, I'm going to pin around the whole top piece, because that's going to be, I'm going to sew a 1 inch casing there for that metal, the metal frame. But first you want to get it down there really good. You want to just grab it where you cut that bottom hole. Just grab that and pull, and keep smoothing it out as you pull, and clip it. can't have too many clips. And grab it, just grab it and clip it. You're not going to hurt it. Grab it and clip it. Okay, with that bag, it turned inside out now. What I like to do is go in here with a hot iron and try to weld those two pieces together. They both, it's double-sided thumb, so you should be able to fuse those pieces to each other to get a good strong hold. So now I'm going to press it. The next thing that I like to do is to go ahead and sew around the outside to make that casing for the frame. And what I do, the way I do it, I start, and these clips are my seam line. I put my foot right up next to that clip and sew right around there. That way you know you got a nice even stitch. I have lost my marking for the insertion point for my metal frame, so what I'm going to do is just come in here and make another one right there. Right there is going to be my opening. I have sewn all the way around about 1 inch below the top, and that's where the metal casing is going to be inserted. If you feel your way around the top, I know that I placed the mark about 1 inch to 1.5 inches from one of the corners, so just check the corners until you find that opening, and right there it is, so that I know now where to insert the metal rod. Okay, before we put anything else together, we have to take care of a couple of incidentals. We have to put a zipper pull on the zipper, and there's the zipper pull. And we have to make tabs for the zipper. So we'll start by making the tabs, and for that you need to cut 2 pieces of 3.5 by 4 inch fabric. If you're making your own zippers as opposed to pre-made, you have to put them back together. So what I do to get it as accurate as I can, I take a big safety pin and I pinch the 2 edges together, and I put a pin in there to sort of hold them in place. And then the zippers have to face up. So the teeth of the zipper are facing up. And I pulled them out and got them as straight as I can. And you'll see that one's longer than the other. That's okay, because we're going to trim them. So a trick that I like to use is a fork. So what you do, since this end is so much shorter, we're going to start on this end, and we're going to put that up to about right there where it meets. And then we're going to put the other end in the opposite side, maybe. Then I'm going to hold it down with my fork, and I'm going to do a test. I'm going to see how close I am to getting those seams even. Well, that's pretty good, but that's not close enough for me. So it's because there's those the zipper is so uneven at the ends. Let's try it again. Let's turn your zipper, place it in there. I'm going to go up a little bit higher this time, just like that, and put that in. maybe. Again, we need the fork. And now it's getting frazzled. So when it does that, you have to cut it off. So now, let's try it again. Okay, that's better. So now, that's much better. Let's zip it all the way across. Perfect. The next thing we're going to do is put the tabs on the ends of the zippers. Okay, for each zipper tab, I have cut a 3.5 by 4. I'm going to take it to the ironing board. I'm going to put a smear of glue across each long end and fold it over and iron it. So get your Elmer's glue, a good one, and put a smear across the top and the bottom. This one's now dead. So now what we're going to do is turn it under about 1/4 of an inch, press down. Same thing on the other side. Press down 1/4 of an inch. Get the next one ready. Quarter of an inch. Press it. Do 1/4 of an inch and press it. Okay. What we're going to do next is take it to the sewing machine. Fold it over. Fold it in half. Your tab ends, your open ends are going to be like that. Now use some little clippies to hold that together while you sew it. Now I'm going to sew a line right across that open edge. Now what we've got is 2 pieces that look just like that. So what we're going to have to do is iron. You fold that, you open that seam up, fold it in just like that, and press it good. Do it on both pieces. You want that seam to lay flat so there's not so much bulk in there. Okay. Now, here's what I do. You have to turn it inside out. So what I do is take hemostats, got them off of Amazon, and grab a corner and pull it. So I got it locked in, so now, see, I can just grab it and pull it. And I chose a nice heavy quilted fabric to make a nice pull. So then all you do is just pull it out, straighten it up, and we're going to take a seam right across one of those open edges. Okay, so the tabs are made. So now we've got to come in here and insert the zipper into the tabs. I don't cut any extra unless I have to, because I never know how far up I need to go so that both tabs are even or equal. So I'm just going to work my way up that zipper. Play with it a little bit. I think I got it. And even it out so that the zipper is not one on top of each other in there. You want them laying flat. So I think I've got it. And I've got about 1.5 inches of room in there. So I'm going to clip it with these little clippers, turn it around, and do the same thing on the other end. Don't bother cutting off the waist at this point because you might need it. Does that look about even? Looks about even to me. So right there's where I'm going to take another seam to attach it. All right, now our tabs are done. Our bag's looking better. Needs to be pressed a little bit. It's a little bit wrinkled. And we know the zipper's working. And there's the inside of the bag. And by the way, when I make these bags specifically for sewing machines, I do not put pockets on the inside because the pockets will keep the machine from going in easily. So I don't do that. So there's the bag so far. The next step that I like to do is to put a cute little surprise bottom at the bottom of the bag to sort of add a padded bottom so it stands up better. So I just take any kind of fabric. It's not going to take much. And then the foam, and then I use plastic corrugated board and cover it. So let's go through that. The bottom of this bag measures about 8 inches by 11 inches. So that's what I cut my foam to, and I'm going to cut diagonally across each corner so that it doesn't cut into the fabric on the bag. Here's my corrugated cardboard, or plastic cardboard is basically what it is. And I've measured off 8 by 11, so now I'm just going to cut it. Sometimes it cuts easy, sometimes it doesn't. So there's 8 by 11. And again, I'm going to take scissors and I'm going to cut across those corners so this stuff doesn't cut the fabric. And now I'm going to pre-fit it to see if I need to make any changes to that. That actually fit pretty good, so what I'm going to do now is cut a piece of fabric. It's going to go around that, and it doesn't have to be a nice cut, it's just a fussy cut piece of fabric. So right here, here's a good size piece. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave about 1 inch on each side. And then I'm going to open it up. I'm going to open it up and cut that piece down. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. So now what I've got are 3 layers. I'm going to take my adhesive. I'm going to iron that first, but I'm going to take my adhesive and put it all together. So I'll show you how to do that. Okay, now we're going to put this all together. This is what I call Mr. Box. I use Mr. Box for all my messy projects. So what I'm going to do is spray, and I love this. It holds really well. 3M Super 77 Amazon. So just spray it. Bring it out of Mr. Box and put it down right on top of that foam, just like that. Now we're going to put those 2 pieces in there, and we're going to spray those. Okay, and with our fabric right side down, we don't need Mr. Box now. With our fabric side down, we're going to put the foam side down that we just sprayed. Turn it over, press it down good with your hands. Now, it goes back in Mr. Box. And what we're going to do is spray around all the sides. Bring it in good. Pull it in good. I should have cut the corners before I did this, but oh well. Okay. Now let's pull those in. That looks good. And then we're going to pull these in. And that looks good. So now we're almost ready to put, well, first one more trip into the box, because the whole thing now has to be covered with adhesive so that it will fit good in the box. Take it out of the box, and now we're going to turn it adhesive side down and press it really good into the bottom of our bag. Okay, surprise, that's what the bottom of our box looks like now, or our bag. Put Mr. Box away. This is our tote bag. And that's what it looks like when you're going to open it up. I always like to put a little surprise in the bottom. Makes me smile. Okay, we're on the last part now, and that would be the metal frames. If you've already got your metal frames, you can just go find your spot that you left open for inserting your frames. I personally make my own frames because I make so many different things. I use 4-gauge copper bare wire. It is really strong, but it's flexible enough to sort of mold it if you don't like the way the bag's sitting. So let me show you how I do that. Looking at my cheat sheet, I see for this tote bag I need 2 of these 18 inches. So I'm going to mark 18 inches, and I know it doesn't look like much right now, but right there's my 18 inches. And I'm going to cut it. And another one. Give yourself plenty of room to work with. Right there's my 18 inches. So I'm going to cut it. So there's my 2 rods, but they are very not straight. So I'll show you how I do that. Okay, this is the noisy part. I've got these rods and they're not laying flat, so use a rubber mallet. Turn them until they're looking pretty good. That one looks pretty good. I've done this 100 times or so, so I know I sort of have a feel for it by now. And sometimes if it's a big bend, it's just easier to do it with your hand. Okay. So it's getting there. That looks pretty good. So now my cheat sheet says it needs a 3-inch bend at each end. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm going to mark 3 inches. So right there is 3 inches, 3 inches, and 1, 2, 3 inches. And now my trick is to take painter's tape, with those together, because I want a good fit. I tape them together so that the bends are in exactly the same place. Now I'm going to take it over to I have a vise, and I'll put it in the vise and set it right on those 2 marks and bend it straight down. Okay, that took about 2 minutes. I bent each end down 3 inches, but I have to put a cap on it to go through that fabric or it's going to cut the fabric. So just pull the tape off. Take the caps out. You need 4 caps. Another Amazon. And just put them on the ends. Put them on the ends. Put it on the end. Now, if you lay these flat, you'll see that they're not flat. Just take your hand and straighten them out until they're flat. Not flat, flat. So, next step is just to take it, push it through all the way to the other end. All the way to the other end, all the way, all the way. And it's going to get a little bit bulky. You just have to fight it a little bit. And you want those bends to end up right where your side seams are. So that looks pretty good. And it's nice and straight. So now we're going to go back through that same hole. Okay, where was it? There it is. And we're going to put the second one in. Just push it in. And push it and push it and push it. And I have arthritis in my hands, so if I can do it, you can do it. Push it in, and you have to keep pushing it over until the cap disappears. And those, again, you want the corners to line up with the corners of your frame, your metal frame. So this is what we have got now. We've got a square box. What we want to do is take your thumbs. Let me get in frame here. You want to take your thumbs and take your hands and push in and bring your thumbs out to make that pop open or closed. And then grab your zipper. The first time is hard because it doesn't know what you want it to do. So there's what we've got so far, and that looks sort of messy, so we got to clean it up. So unzip it. We want all of these. Take your hands and just keep going until it conforms to what you want it to do. And we're getting there. That looks pretty good. Sort of have to, that looks pretty good. It's not lined up over here. So we're going to, I've got the zipper too close to the edge over here. we're going to pull these out a little bit and take a look at it. Just keep working with it and you'll get there. Now that's looking pretty good. I got to go back and press this, and your bag is finished. There's your tote bag. These you can see wrinkles in the top. I'm gonna go back with the iron. That means that did not fuse as well as I wanted it to. So I'm just gonna go back and hit it with the iron and fuse that. So that's how I make a bag. So here's the completed bag. Here it is open. And there's the bottom. And now I'm gonna close it up. Sorry about that. I'm gonna close it up. I'm gonna pull these down. Pull that zipper up. And now you've got your beautiful tote bag.